From Southern California, this is The Circle of Insight, a show about everything in psychology. Hear the latest in news and views on psychology. Our motto is simple: wherever there is psychology involved, we are there. And now, here's your host of The Circle of Insight, Carlos Vasquez.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We have a fabulous show for you. Today, we're going to be talking about empowering women. What's going on with the woman generation of today? We have with us a special guest, Christina Nimergood. Christina Nimergood wrote this fabulous book called The Sacred Garden of She. Let me tell you a little bit about Christina. Christina Nimergood is a creative mind and proud owner of Femolution.com, a social community that helps awaken millennial women to an elevated consciousness and heightened way of living through a unique blend of life coaching and motivational products. Her mission in life is to help women find themselves, their happy, and their hustle. The effect is them being the model for change they wish to see in the world. Welcome to the circle, Christina.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you for having me.
This is great. I can't wait to delve into the book. But before we get into all this, what got you into Femolution?
Well, I tell you what, Carlos, this has been a whole spiritual, personal development journey for myself. I was in my quarter-life crisis in the midst of it, and I started to ask myself better quality questions. What do I really want to do? What's the purpose and meaning of my life? What am I here to truly do? And I started to just run that track in my head, and I just kind of positioned myself in seminars with Tony Robbins and the like, and I immersed myself in this personal development, self-help culture. And it spawned and ignited a passion within me that I can't help but live.
Excellent. So this really motivated you, but now you're targeting, it seems like, more of the female gender.
Yes.
And why is that?
For the most part, because I'm a female, so I can relate a lot to what someone else is going through, especially in the millennial age.
Millennial age. What are some of the things that the millennial women are suffering right now? I know we talked a little bit before, is a lack of confidence.
Yes. Confidence, for sure. I think that's first and foremost at this transition that we're going through. Above and beyond that, clarity of life and clarity of life purpose is another huge point that I'm personally asked about a lot.
So they seem to be kind of lost, not knowing where to go?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Now, why do you think that's happening to today's women? What are some of the challenges they're encountering that's causing this lack of purpose?
I think that when you know yourself and you know why you do what you do, it brings purpose and meaning to your life. So it almost follows suit. So first, it's just looking inward, and it's taking the time to look inward at ourselves. And for women, that's sometimes hard to do. We think that we have to do all of these things outside of ourselves, but really the journey starts inward. So it's almost, if you don't go within, you go without. So living the confidence through you and taking the time to go in and to figure out what's good about me, what makes me confident.
Do you think that women today are portrayed in a negative way or a positive way through the media?
I think it totally depends on what you look at. I'm a firm believer in laws of the universe, one of them being the law of polarity, which is you can't have good without bad. You can't have negative without positive. So the empowerment for women, for all people, but women specifically in this case, is to focus on that which elevates you as a person. Still knowing that the negative shows, films, all of that still exists, but finding who and what you are in relation to that and choosing to be on the peak positive side of things or looking that.
Yeah, because you are a peak performance coach.
Yes.
So let's take a journey together here. Let's say I'm Carlita for the sake of the show here for a minute, and I come to you. What was the first thing you're going to start doing? You're going to start having me fill out a questionnaire to find out where I'm going, where I want to do? What happens?
Yeah, I start off with you telling me who you are. And it's an exercise I call Incantations. And it's basically you stand and you tell me, I am blank.
I have to stand.
Blank. Yes.
Why did you
Standing
make
is
stand?
good. It evokes a peak energy, and it makes you be present, and you're proud to stand up and share with people who you are. But it's clouded at times. Sometimes it's hard to say who you are outside of what other people think you should be or think you should say or do. So it's just a vulnerable moment that I love to capture.
That's a big challenge for millennials too.
Yes.
So you like to capture that vulnerability.
Absolutely.
And do you see it in their body language?
Yes.
What do you see?
It's shoulders, breathing. When we're slouched, when we're hunched over, our breathing tends to be up here. And that's anxiety. The only difference between feeling anxious and when you breathe in your stomach and when you're back is just one solid deep breath. You know who you are, and it's the breathing of the inner conviction that truly just makes things melt down and you stand up proud.
So do you advise, I mean, I'm maybe jumping ahead here, but when you have your client in front of you, do you work with them on their posture as well? Do you say, let's put your shoulders back, let's do this?
Yeah, this is the thing. This is what's interesting. I believe that everything we need is within us right now. So there's nothing that I can tell you to do that you don't already know to do yourself. It's simply evoking that within you and you bringing it up. And when you bring it up, you naturally just rise up. So everything just course corrects naturally.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very good. So, okay, so we have Carlita standing up and the shoulders are going back now.
Yeah.
She's telling you who she thinks she is.
Absolutely.
What else do you do?
So once we get to that point, it's goals. What are Carlita's goals? Where is she now? And where does she want to be? And who does she have to become to achieve this? Because life is about becoming more of who we already are.
So you're bringing the clarity to them.
Yes.
That's great.
Out of them. Yeah.
Out of them. So, yes.
Yeah.
Great. Continue on.
So once we figure out where you are and where you'd like to be, we set a strategy. And so when you have your outcome, it's easier to figure out how you want to get there when you have a plan in place. And the plan in place is totally dependent on who you are as a person, where you are currently, trials and tribulations you've experienced in the past, because that's going to fuel you. And you use that as fuel and motivation to get through these roadblocks that will come up. It's natural, it's life. But again, you figure out what you are in relation to the negative things that will happen.
What are some of the goals from your clients that are resonating themes for the millennials? Are they looking to for careers? Are they looking for families? What's some of the resonating themes that you've noticed so far with your clientele?
Career is definitely a strong point. 80% of our lives is spent doing our career, doing work, doing our job. So career, the phrase that I get is women want to find a job that is, and create a lifestyle more so, that is full of meaning and significance and purpose. So it's finding that for them. And of course relationships is the other one. Everybody wants love, wants to be loved, wants to feel loved, and be in a passionate relationship at that. So relationships and career are definitely one and two.
Okay, so Carlita has adjusted her body. She's starting to write out her goals about her career and her relationships. Where does Christina go from there?
We ask questions. What do you want? You figure out what your values are. Because when you know your values, then you can start prioritizing experiences and people in your life. And so when
you start fleshing it out more and more.
Yeah. Here's what I do want. Here's what I do not want. And oftentimes it starts with what I don't want. So then it's easier for people to say, okay, I know I don't want this, so what do I want?
Interesting. So these are some of the questions we actually ask in our heads a lot, right? We
Yes.
tell ourselves all the time what we don't want. I don't want this and I don't want
Right.
that. But you're saying instead we should say,
What do you want? Right.
Interesting. Very good stuff.
Yeah.
Hi, welcome to Adelante. This is Adelante Recovery, and my name is Yvette Kuglin, and I'm part of the staff.
Adelante Recovery Center has helped people in dual diagnosis for 5 years. We accept most PPO insurances and provide luxury accommodations and 24-hour support. To speak with an admissions counselor, call 1-888-242-4450.
A lot of time we don't even know what's wrong with us, and sometimes we need to get away to figure that out. So if you want to go for a little retreat out in Corona Del Mar, which is a confidential location, we're here to help. So we're only a phone call away. Thank you.
Okay, so we got the goal setting, and I'm ready to walk out the door now for my first session with you. What do you do? Do you give me homework? What's going on here?
I let you rock onward and upward in peak style. Because by the time that Carlita would have left a session with me, she's ready to go. She's amped. She's pumped. She's gonna make some moves, and I'm here waiting at the end of we set up segments. So maybe it's a week or 2 weeks, and she kind of reports back, and we talk about it. And we talk about the experience that she's had as this new empowered female.
Interesting, great stuff. Now we'll go back a little bit back to the TV and the movies. Sometimes women are pictured in different lights, right? Mm-hmm. We see that in TV shows. A lot of them now are becoming main characters of TV shows, and they have this strong attitude. Do you notice a lot of the millennials? Before I go back to that, before I continue, what is a millennial?
Females. Well,
25 to
statistically-
35 or
Yeah, that's the niche of it. It really goes 18 to 35, but
18 to 35?
that
Okay.
25-35 is a good, niche.
So they're watching these shows and they watch these leading characters of females being strong. Is that something you would advocate for them to watch that? Or you're saying, or would you tell them, you do whatever you want to do, or who you want to be, or who you are?
Absolutely. I think everybody's empowerment character or actresses or actors that we like is our own opinion. I think to each his own, and each woman is their own individual person. So I think whatever empowers someone doesn't necessarily have to empower the other person, and that's the beauty of life and the beauty of individuality. And it's just embracing that, embracing who you are, and embracing why you like the things you like.
Perfect. Excellent. Okay, so we got that. Any success stories that pop up in your head of some of your clients that you want to share with us?
Finding love. One of my clients recently has found a boyfriend, and she struggled so long with just attracting the right person. Even though she said she wanted to attract this person, she was focused more on what she didn't want in a man. So it was shifting her mind. So of course she was attracting, what you resist persists. So she's saying, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. Well, she was actually positioning herself to experience more of what she didn't want. So it was simply a mindset shift where she's like, okay, what am I looking for? I'm looking for this. I'm looking for someone that loves me, that accepts me, that I can be myself around. And she started to put herself in different environments to where she could attract that person. And sure enough, she did. And it's been great since that I've heard.
So you had to kind of go in their head and change those, how would you call those, the self-thoughts that she was having?
Yes. The self-sabotage thoughts had to be eliminated. And she had to find her worth and know that she was worthy and she was good enough as a person to attract that caliber of person.
Do you explore anything in regards to their childhood, family relationships? Or
Absolutely.
You do?
That's where a lot of our pain points are. It stems from our childhood. Usually it's around middle school age, teen years. And more often than not, it comes from one of our parents. And these, they're not disempowering emotions, they're emotions. What we do is we stuff them down because we don't want to feel it. Especially in the Western culture, we stuff it down, we don't want to talk about it, we suppress it. And it's feeling it to heal it that I get my clients to go through.
Oh, so you're okay. So wait a minute. I got to bring Carlita back here for a second. So this is after we're standing up, and then after we do the goals or what we're going to do for the future.
Yeah.
Then during the time I leave the door, and then you're going to start exploring a little bit about their past.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. And what anything has really stood out? Because you're talking about 18 to 35. So I'm looking at teenagers maybe within the last 3 years or with the last 15 years. Are there any common themes that you've noticed from your clients in the last 15 years? Or is there something, well, you said a lack of purpose was one of them.
Yeah.
But anything else that you noticed at all by any chance?
Definitely. Not feeling good enough. Not feeling worthy enough.
Worthy enough for
Love, for greatness, for
anything.
anything. Living your destiny, for just feeling self-worth, and feeling like we're good enough. And feeling and knowing and understanding that love is unconditional, not conditional, which would resort sometimes back to past traumas and experiences where love might have been conditional at one point. So it's rewiring and reconditioning the way that they think about themselves in relation to everything, to love, to relationships, to work.
It's a lot more complicated.
Yeah.
Got a lot of work there to do. That's
Humans
great.
are a complex creature. That's for sure.
That's for sure. That's true. Well, I want to see how we can explore this, but obviously their moms are going to have an influence on them, and their fathers. We talked about that. Do you think the women, their mothers, we'll call them the women of that age, of that time period, or that period of time, did they go through any kind of difficult challenges as well? Do you think it was the same kind of issue of not being good enough, and then they kind of transfer that over to their daughters?
Yeah, definitely. I think that everything in life is cyclical. So it repeats, and the idea is to find the part of you that's patterned so that you can, if you would like, make a move. And the recurring pattern comes from the parents. You know what you know, and when you know better, you do better. So if mom was raised a certain way with certain beliefs, then odds are, is probably going to raise her daughter with those beliefs. It's not right, it's not wrong, it just is what it is.
Interesting. Do you explore that too? You explore how the mother viewed life by any chance? Or?
Sometimes we get into it if the client would like. For the most part, I'm focused on the person that's in front of me, and if she wishes to explore that route, I'm here for support.
And then in part 2, we're going to learn a little bit more about how women gain confidence. We're going to learn about how they find meaning and purpose with Christina. We're going to learn a lot of things. How what she does, we're going to learn some of the inside tricks of what she does in her trade to get women to be empowered, to feel better about themselves, to get the life that they deserve to have. Once again, here's the book, The Secret Garden of She by Christina Nimergood. The book is really designed to increase self-awareness by offering constructive ways to get the root of the problem. Well, thank you so much again, Christina, for joining the circle today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Remember, our motto is simple. Wherever there's psychology involved, we are there. See you next time, everyone.